Sharon. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Now that I've got my result through, I thought it'd be a good opportunity to talk about the new ABRSM Performance exam. This is the exam where you record your performance, and it's only 4 pieces, no scales, no oral, and you can record it at home or in your teacher's music room, and you just submit the file and that's your exam. So we took this exam, some of my students did, just as an experiment for some people, just like, yeah, go on, we'll give it a go. And also for some because exam centres were closed because of lockdown rules and so on. And it seemed a good way of making the best use of the practice time that had been going on throughout the first lockdown in the spring, when we were starting video music lessons, even for my local students. And so we've been practicing for months and months in preparation for this performance exam. It's a remotely recorded performance exam. And I have to say, you know, we watched all of the ABRSM's introductory videos and it was all very helpful. There was lots of information and I got a good feel for what was required. And I sort of imagined it as a kind of a scaled down version of the ABRSM exam, which follows after grade 8, but obviously for these lower grades. I think it was just the way that the programme flows and so on, and I got an idea for what the exam was after. And so we chose the usual 3 exam pieces from the ABC listings, and then for the 4th piece we had an own choice. And for most of that we either used what was already in the book anyway, because there were lots of nice pieces to choose from, or I went back to some old ABRSM exam syllabus from years and years ago and picked back some old favourites from that. And the idea is that the programme flows as a whole, rather like a menu where you want the rise and fall of the palette between the different dishes. And so we wanted the programme to flow, and I do think that my students found a really good programme. And then actually recording the pieces, we had to bear in mind certain things. And so these are my thoughts on what I think the exam is after. So for a start, you wouldn't sort of play a recital chewing gum. So don't chew gum for your exam. Seems obvious, I know. And then also there's a lot of information given, and we made sure to try and make sure that there was a pause between each piece so that each piece is framed off. So as soon as the piece is finished, before the notes are finished ringing, don't just slam onto the next piece and start shuffling your pages. You know, you'd let the music settle if you were in a concert, so to do the same thing as well. I have to say though, I think under the stress of recording, that did get forgotten a little bit. You think you're sitting there for a good few seconds, and actually no time at all has gone, and so there's perhaps a little bit too much of a rush between the pieces. I think that may have been the case in some places, but I would just say it is not necessarily the easy option, because the recording has to be in one take. So, you know, playing 4 pieces under exam recording pressure, the second you press record, it's so nerve-wracking. And I often suggest to my students that they do that anyway, because you think you're doing your dynamics and you think you're projecting your louds and your softs and all of your articulation, and then when you listen to it back, you're not actually doing it as much as you think. You've really got to convey those dynamics in your performance, and so when you play it back, you can really tell how much of a performance you've put into it, really. You might think you're doing it, but it's a bit like a stage whisper. You've got to really overdo it to express that dynamic character. So I suggest that you do that anyway. Recording yourself is a great practice technique. But recording 4 pieces, one after the other, under pressure of the camera, with no mistakes, is not easy at all. And so thankfully we got lots of successive recordings to try on, but there comes a point when it is what it is, and this is going to have to go in. So even if there is a mistake, and you know, the best of us, we always make mistakes. Well, not always, but often. You know, it's to be expected. And so the whole point of this exam is it is a performance. It's one continuous performance. And so if you're in a concert setting, if you go wrong, you just carry on. So long as you've got a musical performance, the odd little wrong note isn't the end of the world at all. So long as you've got a musical performance and you're conveying the character of each piece, and so long as you keep it going. Because imagine if you're in a concert and the performer goes wrong, and then the performer gets really, really nervous and stops and hesitates and goes back. That then makes the audience really nervous too. And so you must just keep going and carry it off regardless of what position in the performance you are. I guess if you go wrong on the first piece, you can start again. But again, I think that breeds an attitude of stop, start, and it's just not productive at all. So getting through the whole performance of 4 pieces that you've chosen to flow in a sort of a musical sense overall as well as individually is quite an undertaking. So we did all of that and we sent them in, and I think we did what was required. But then that's where all the trouble starts in, the technical issues, because this is new to us all, and it's like, oh, have I got the file size right? Have I compressed the file right? You know, it should be a certain file size so that the whole video will send. You should have this camera angle so you can see the pedals, or if it's a flute exam, you need to see the accompanist, but the flute needs to be centre stage, as it were, of course. So I did all of those things and hoped that I got it right. And then we submitted the file. So it's like, okay, done. Okay, that's done. Phew. I think that's it. I think we're done now. And so we were ahead of our submission date, and I could just relax, and that's it. It's all in now. It's all done. But then I guess all of this is new to ABRSM as well. But then I got an email saying, your exam date and venue has been changed. It's like, what do you mean changed? You've already got the files. And in terms of venue, there shouldn't be a venue. And I clicked on my sort of teacher's portal, and it showed a venue. And it's like, but that's like miles away. We're not going there. You've got my files. And I sent emails via the contact form because there's nobody answering the phones anymore because of all of the lockdown and so on. They haven't been answering the phones for months actually. And nobody got back to me. And so I sent another one and nobody got back to me. And it was like, is this right? And then I see on Facebook that loads of teachers have had the same problem. It was just such a massive, massive stress. I thought, well, I have to just trust that it's right, you know. I can only just do my best. I think I've done all the technical requirements. I think that's it. And so it's 8 p.m. of the submission date. So I'm going to watch and see what happens. And so I can see all of my candidates listed on my portal. And at 8 o'clock, as the clock sort of chimes 8, all of my files disappeared. I thought, should that happen? Is that right? I thought, oh, I can only presume that means it is now gone. That's it then, it's really out of my hands. And so there was no reassurance. I think they were just inundated, the ABRSM were. So there was no reassurance. So yeah, you've done it right. Don't worry, it's all good. I'll just have to trust that it's going okay. And I just said to my pupils, I think we've done it right. We can only just hope that's it. And then ordinarily you're waiting weeks and weeks and weeks for results to come through. And I just couldn't believe it when just over a week later, here are your results. I thought, okay, let's have a look. And I was so relieved because everybody passed. And so now that this first attempt at this remote recorded performance exam has been tried, I now feel more confident that yes, we can do this. And I'm so pleased that my pupils have passed. Of course, I'm pleased for them because they've been practicing for months really. And so well done to Yan Lin for her grade 3 flute. Well done to Taryn for her grade 5 piano. Well done to Caitlin for her grade 3 piano. And well done to Ella for her grade 2 piano. Well done, guys. You've done such a great job. And not just the usual well done for you've passed your exam, but I think an extra well done because you've done it under very, very trying circumstances. And this is really a just reward for all of the work that you've put in through lockdown. Because not only have they had to do the usual amount of piano or flute practice ad infinitum to get the pieces together, they've had to overcome all of the psychological and mental stress of lockdown, well, twice, and then they've had to get used to lessons via video call, whether it's FaceTime or Skype, and even then, you know, we've had to overcome all sorts of obstacles, like the piano's in a dead spot for the Wi-Fi, and so we've been having to work around that, or you know, the piano's in a conservatory where during the summer it's baking hot when it was lesson time, and all of these different things that have just made it even more tricky. And so well done, guys, for overcoming all of the odds and for really putting your time to good use. And I'm so relieved that you've passed and you've got such a good result from all of your hard work. Going back to the performance exam as a whole, there's just one thing that I'm not really sure quite if I can put my finger on what the ABRSM are after. You know, so yes, we need to work on framing the pieces, and there's always room for manoeuvre of more dynamic contrast, more musical expression and that sort of thing. But on every single mark form, and this is even, say for example for Yan Lin, she got distinction, or Ella, she got merit, and each one of them says, but with limited audience awareness. That's quite a tall order, audience awareness. Well, for a start, there is no audience. You are playing to a camera in an empty room. And I know that you must project a performance and you must frame the pieces, you know, but for a young teenager at grade 2 piano, that is a real tall order. And even when you've got distinction in your overall mark, but it's still commenting with limited audience awareness. You know, and a lot of these pupils, they will never have played in front of an audience. You might occasionally get some who play at a school concert, and now especially that will not be happening because there are no musical performances going on anywhere. They can have no experience of playing in front of an audience. And even though I was sitting in the room with them, and you know, I can be audience, play to me, play to the camera, I do think that's a tall order, and I can't quite put my finger on what it is that they're actually after for this. However, I would still say it's been a great experience. It's a really great exam opportunity. It's a very abstract alternative approach to our exams that we're used to. It's something I will definitely do again, and now that I've done it the first time, I can feel a little bit more relaxed with the procedures next time. If you've got any experience or any thoughts, I'd be really interested to know your comments, so please do pitch in and share your thoughts. Thanks for listening. Bye.